Welcome. We're here today in the Guildhall with Tembe and Raphelia and Nats, and this is Women Behind Bars as part of the Gloucester Rhyme Festival.
So we're firstly going to start by talking about all of the creative fields that we're in. So, for example, I'm a singer and I also write poetry as well. What about yourself?
So I am an Afrocentric artist, creative designer, so I do a lot of set designs and I do some clothing. I do a lot of fine art about positive representations of Black narratives, particularly Black joy, Black love, and I'm also a spoken word artist as well.
Nice. My name is Raphelia and I am a singer, songwriter, mother, juggling a couple of titles here. But I'm also a community worker. I work a lot in the community with different artists, and as you all are creative, so yeah, I work amongst you all, which is quite nice.
I'm Tembe and I am a writer and poet. Mostly have written poetry, but now kind of branching out into writing for different genres. I'm doing a creative writing master's at the moment at Oxford University, and I am, just trying to do more writing and tell stories in other ways. That's me.
That's awesome.
So what sort of stories are you exploring at this moment?
At the moment, starting to think about writing like for novels. I'm also very interested in telling stories through film, actually, and it's something I've thought about for a long time because I love films, but I've just not been confident enough to kind of break into that.
Sure.
So, yeah.
And how do the topics change from how you write, what you cover when you write poetry to when you're writing a novel? Like, what sort of themes do they differ, or they're similar?
There's quite a lot of difference, I think. I think having poetry as a foundation is really good because you have to know how to say things well in very short ways, usually. So I think already being able to kind of be good at and disciplined in that means that when you go and write for like other longer things, I think you already have the kind of foundation of knowing how to use your words with a lot of intent and carefully. I do still find writing for novels scary just because I've never done that, and like I'm used to writing things in a very succinct way. So now to try and write a whole book, it's just like I don't even have that much to say. But it's a whole different structure. It's a whole different just way of like having to learn how to structure a story and say something. So it's a lot of learning.
It's really nice to wait and expand yourself and really develop who you are and find out more about yourself when you have to expand on what you say. There's nothing worse than someone saying, oh, no, tell me, what do you actually mean by that? You're like, oh, wait, no. Is what I say actually important? Well, obviously, all of our voices do matter. And I don't know about you guys, as Black female creatives, I find that you really have to work hard to maintain your confidence for you, like that your voice matters and that it does make a difference.
Yeah.
How would you say you prefer to express yourself? Would you say that poetry is the best form of it, or do you say that now that you're moving more into creative writing, that helps you to express yourself better?
That's a really good question. I think poetry has always been the natural one and the one I've done, but I've been feeling really itchy to kind of try other ways. I wouldn't call myself a songwriter, but I've kind of played around with writing music as well, just to kind of have different ways of having an outlet. So at the moment, I would say I don't yet have a defined one. I'm still playing around. But how about you? Because I know you're a poet and a singer.
Yeah, I mean, I've been writing for a pretty long time, just because I established from quite early on that anything maths related is absolutely not in my arena. But yeah, so I started off writing creatively, like writing stories online, things like that. And then when I was about 13, I moved on to songwriting, and I've really found a home in that. And I'm not going to come out and say that I'm the best songwriter, because I definitely am not, but just actually the way that you're able to articulate yourself in music and reach people, even if what you're saying may not necessarily make sense to yourself, like other people can really resonate with that. And I find that so important. So yeah, I don't know about you.
I think for a very long time, I was a lot like you. I reached a stage in school where math was no longer important, and initially I really wanted to go into journalism, and I don't know why I wanted to even go into journalism, because I never felt that as a kid I could write a decent story. However, I could always write a song. I found that it was the way that I sort of took myself out of trouble, or if I felt like I needed to communicate something to my mom and I didn't feel like she was really listening, I thought put it in a song, or it just became my go-to way. And I think because of that, I'm like you. I don't feel like I'm the best songwriter, but I feel like now, because of that exercise, using that as my way to connect, I found that I find a whole lot of comfort in it. And for us, as Black women and as creatives, like you said, when you find that you can just resonate, like even if it doesn't resonate with you, you can literally take your piece of writing and it will resonate with anybody.
Yeah.
And so I love that for that very reason. Yeah.
We gotta lift ourselves up, because ain't no one else doing it.
I agree. I agree.
What I'm really interested in is what was it about journalism that appealed to you, and has that actually gone into your? Is there something that has appealed to you? Is that innate in you, and has that carried out through everything you do in terms of like your community work and documenting life and the importance of it?
It's a great point, and I never actually connected the two. I'm actually happy you asked the question, because as I've gone on and as we've had these sort of experiences that just tend to add up, the person that I connected with the most was a Black man on TV when I was growing up, and I thought it was such a big deal that, oh my goodness, he's on the 7 o'clock news. But I also went to school with his daughter.
Wow.
Yeah, so it was that sort of like, oh my goodness, Black people can be on TV and you know them. Like they're that close, you can reach out and touch them. And even though I guess I viewed him as a top journalist, like I thought, oh my goodness, he's good enough to be on TV, and he must, even though he's a TV presenter, I know he had to do a lot of research and a lot had to go into him sitting in that seat. So I think that's where that idea, that little seed was planted, the fact that I was able to hold a conversation with this man if I needed to ever, because of how close he was.
I still get really excited about seeing Black people on TV and seeing Black people in suits and it's really sad, isn't it? Like it's 2020, but it is really exciting. Like I remember one time I was in this lift and this guy would so it turns out I nearly gate crashed like a celebrity TV awards after party. But I didn't have a dress, so I was like, all right, I'll try not to. But I was in this elevator and there was this guy there with a couple, and this guy turns around to the Black couple. And he says, oh, that was a long walk up, wasn't it? And they're all really finely dressed. And the Black guy turns around and he's like, I drove. I was like, yes, boss man, I drove. I didn't walk like you commoners, And that, for me, that was just that was exciting for me. I'm like, that's right, because we are at all levels, and we're all great.
Absolutely.
And we do still need the journalists on TV, don't we?
That's it.
Even into adulthood.
That's it. I believe it's important for someone to plant that seed.
Yeah, rewriting, re-entering my poetry journey actually started with Tembe when I watched her perform at the Guildhall last year.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, were we all in that? Yeah. Were we all in that room?
Pretty sure.
Because I must admit, that was when I got to speak to you for the first time.
Oh, wow.
And what was really nice about speaking to you for the first time, because like I said earlier, looking at you is like I was looking at myself, the way we dress and the things that we like, the things that we do, even, just your artistic expression.
Just like the natural energies we give out, it's just welcoming, isn't it? It's okay, cool, a sense of community,
Yeah.
I've never spoken to Nats ever really, but I feel like I already kind of know her.
Yeah, likewise.
We're Gloucester representing right here, aren't we?
Yeah,
it's nice.
Absolutely. So I guess my question is to you, because I also like to be creative in other ways other than my singing or writing songs. And I wanted to know who planted the seed for you in art in your artistic
Ooh,
expression?
That's a good question.
Because that's an area that usually we would be made to believe as children that we're not in that arena. But I just love to know what is.
Yeah. Well, I like my journey through art, creativity, and poetry has been tumultuous. Like I have fought it at every turn. And then eventually I was like, no, let me just sit with it. And it has been the best decision to actually just flow with myself. And I think people think I put a lot of thought into designing concepts and stuff like that, when I actually just think about it and just let it go and just see what happens. And I'm like, okay, so that's what my spirit was trying to say, you know? I'm like, okay, so that's why I use those colors. And so like having that confidence now to like do it and not do it in an arrogant way, because, you know, I'm always like aware that I don't want to be like, oh yeah, no, I'm really great. Like we should actually say that, by the way, ladies.
Yeah,
like
true.
instead of saying, yeah, I don't think I'm a great songwriter. You're a great songwriter. You know, I'm a great artist. You are a great writer. You know. So like, what planted the seed for me? It was escapism. As a little child, I was very isolated. And I'm sure like a story that you can all feel. And it just kind of grew from there. And then I saw it as like a love language, like giving my art away to people that I love and doing it to personalize them and have like think of them. And now I can't keep giving. You know, it's time for me to learn how to receive. So now it's about putting value on my artwork, on my words, and receiving for that.
Which you deserve.
Well, I can really relate to that as well, because from a very young age, I moved around quite a lot. Firstly, I was not born in this country, you know. I was born in Ghana, and then I came here when I was 2. I lived in Wales and I lived in England, and I found that I was the only person like myself, especially like growing up in Wales. That was a very white dominated area. And although I never really had a problem with that, but I really did need a way to be able to express myself, because it was so like repressing to not be able to see other people like yourself. So when you're put in a situation like that, you do have to find an outlet to sort of present yourself and to establish yourself, because otherwise you will like the way that you present and actually your whole culture or just like everything about yourself can start to wash away. So I mean, music was really, really important to me from quite early on, and like my family was quite musical. My dad was in a band, and my mum like would always just sing all the time.
That is awesome.
And in actually an African household, I don't know about you guys, but music is a big aspect, just like whether it's at church or anything like that. But I decided that like one day I'd just pick up a guitar and like teach myself how to play, because at the time like I was going to Catholic school and I wasn't the type of person who'd want to stand up in mass and just sing these songs. That just weren't my style at all. So it was, I think the seed was mainly just the sheer desire to present myself, you know, and to establish my place in like creatively, because otherwise I just wouldn't have had the chance to actually be myself. And I find that in other ways as well, because it's funny you mentioned journalism actually, because I write for The Tab, which is like a student newspaper nationally, and I write a lot about fashion articles and things like that. And actually what I love about the creative industry is that you can present yourself in so many different ways. So even you as a poet, whether it's the way you dress or the way you speak or just like the way you articulate yourself on a page or like as you speak it tells so much about yourself and so much about your story. And that's what I just absolutely love about the creative arts. So love that. And just leading off that, actually, I want to ask you guys, where do you think you are in your creative journey? Because obviously we're all at different stages of life, but after like looking back on all of your experiences, obviously we're at a really weird set of times, but where would you say you are creatively?
I think I would probably say I'm just beyond kind of emerging. I feel like for a while I was in the space of like emerging artist. And there were so many opportunities that opened up to me because there are a lot of things to help artists develop, especially between the ages of 16 and 25. And I had a lot of that support from a lot of things here in Gloucester and beyond. I'm 26 now. which means as a creative, it can be the ghetto.
Which is so old.
I mean, like, just trying to get like opportunities. Like, once you are out of that, I think there's not as many kind of things and organizations ready to support you. Maybe that's been my experience anyways. So I think it's kind of now feeling like I'm forced to be a lot more serious and another step forward as an artist. I can't just be emerging. I have to kind of find my way and make people kind of pay attention and work a lot harder to try and get a community and an audience, you know? Yeah, that's what I would say. What about you, Rafilia?
I don't know. I like to say I'm getting a bit old in my journey.
You are established. Like, you're out here inspiring us.
Yeah, well, you know, it's so tricky, and I thank you so much for saying that because, of course, I'm like you. I didn't grow up in Britain, and my musical journey was so organic. I mean, organic in the sense that I went from hanging out in a hanging out in a record shop, to crossing the street to go and peek in on the steel pan yard. And then I come back across the street hanging out in a record shop where my mother could actually ring and find out where I am. Tell that girl to bring her behind home. You know, that sort of thing. So that's how bad I was at hanging out in the record shop, and didn't realize that me hanging out in the record shop would lead to singing my first dub plate, recording my first 45. And then I got an opportunity to do some background vocals for an artist who was originally from Britain. I said yes to that when I was 19. I had no idea that one at that time when I said yes that I would end up living in Britain. It just so happened that I got here 10 years later, totally different reason, married, kids, life and all that going on. So I completely missed that bit where you get the support and the, you know, between that 16-25 bit, I was trying to be somebody's wife and mother, which, you know, I don't knock the journey. I never knock the journey. It's just nice to know that it's there. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So I'm so glad for you all to be able to have that. And so I sort of went from that to saying yes, and then arriving in Britain and having that opportunity to sing background vocals for this guy again. And you branch out, you make links as you're moving around, and now here I am. After competitions and all sorts, like I just pretty much said yes to a lot of things, and that's the organic bit. It's just whatever you say yes to and whatever links you make along the way, they grow. They just grow. So I guess if anything, I would say is, as you called it, established. From an established person, I would say don't be afraid to say yes. But that's not what you asked me, but I just had to tell you because that's important.
It is.
Yeah.
I kind of had this like light bulb moment actually just last week. So someone was asking me what I'm doing, and usually when someone calls me on the phone, they're like, "Oh, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Oh yeah, nothing." I'm like, hang on, wait a minute. I'm exhibiting in Birmingham. Like, I'm exhibiting in Cheltenham. I'm like the Cheltenham art residence. Like, I got a poem out like with the Black Girl Convention in Bristol. I've got this going on. I've got that going on. I'm doing a set design for like this person's video. I'm like, hang on, wait a minute. Oh, I've actually got a career now. Like, I don't even feel like I don't think I even really emerged. I was just like suddenly there. And now I'm like, okay, now I need to actually know what's going on. How do I take this forward?
And stop saying nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and it is actually really exciting. Like, you know, when you actually reflect on it, on your journey and how you're going and going forward, like it is terrifying because you're like, well, where am I going? Yeah. Like, am I making the right decisions? Am I saying yes to the right things? Like, yeah, let's go for it. Like, say yes.
Yeah, I love that so much just because I'm 18, so I'm like a newbie just in everything. And actually, it's great just being with you guys because you're all so established in your fields, actually. But it was just, I mean, I started off, again, writing quite young, but I never actually did anything about it till I was about 16 or 17. And then that's when I got in touch with Malachi, who's just been amazing through all of this. And actually, he gave me my first steps. And what is so great about places like Gloucester is that when you find one person that believes in you, they can really carry you through. And that's what I love about being in a sport place again like Gloucester.
And that person is yourself. Who got in contact with Malachi? Yourself.
True.
Who
True.
carried you through?
That's true. That is very true. But yeah, I mean, as soon as you find one person to believe in yourself, regardless of whether it's myself or somebody else, like that is the thing that you really, really need.
Yep.
And so I mean, I'm an emerging artist and I'm currently at university, but so I'm trying to like balance that with music as well. But what I love about you saying yes to everything is the fact that I really have tried to do that. And it's like, so something, say like an opportunity like this comes up, I'll try and say yes to it, and then that automatically makes me meet new people. I wouldn't have met you if it wasn't for this, you know. So yeah, although I'm like quite early in my career, like I'm really, really excited about what there is to come. So.
Yeah, we
Excited
definitely
for
have
you.
like this opportunity to
Yeah.
continue lifting each other up as individuals and collectively, you know, and that is really exciting because at the end of the day, it's us that's going to give us the power to elevate ourselves even further. You know, we've already started within ourselves. Like, we're just going to take it higher. Like, when I've got really to the point in my career, very short career as it is, so far, that even now when I'm doing a project, I will call on people to see if who wants to get involved in that project, because I think it's a practice that we need to do from the very beginning, like to carry us all up, you know, rather than I'm at the top, all right, like let me see if I can, let me just check the quota. Do it. Like,
I agree with that, and I must say, it's a lot of where the feeling for my band, getting a band together came in, because I was thinking to myself at the time, like, in the midst of Britain's Got Reggae, I was doing a Britain's Got Reggae competition, and after everything was decided, and then I won, they were like, "Oh, you need to get a band," and they're like, "Oh, why don't you check this band from Bristol?" And I thought, why don't I do what? Yeah, well, there's a band in Bristol. It's not that far from you. I said, do you know how many musicians are in Gloucester? Like, I'm going to Bristol for what? What again? And the joke is that still, some of the best musicians come down from Bristol to come and be a part of the band. So it was like, do I go to Bristol or does Bristol come to me? And not in that not in a cocky, most confident way, but just that I thought, it's like you said, in arenas like this where you know so much talent exists, do you take what someone else is telling you in the midst, telling you what you need to do, or do you go from where you feel that love is and that thirst for where you're headed? You want to check your own backyard before you check abroad, isn't it?
Authenticity and our truth is like the best strength to our foundations creatively, isn't it?
That's it.
You know, and
That's it.
And being from your hometown, it's really important. And I think it's really exciting to have, like, I think you do get loyalty, a natural sense of loyalty when you do come to somebody like from, instead of like doing what other people are telling you to do. When you actually, do you want to come do this with me? Like, yeah, okay, cool. Like, like that natural.
That sense of family.
Collectivity. Yes, exactly. Family.
That sense of family. And I think that's what makes it so nice, is because, you know, of course, we be in these arenas more than once, and then we become a family. We wouldn't have had this conversation. I wouldn't have gotten to speak to you on this level, or you on this level, or you on this level, even though I practically watched you grow up. So it's special. It is certainly special. And you can't beat that sense of family, especially when you're not from here. So you're always trying to create that sense of camaraderie, sisterhood. And sisterhood actually might be the savior in so many of us in the last, 5-10 years, and things have really shifted amongst Black people as well. So I must say that the sisterhood has been absolutely amazing and a blessing. The inspiration in this room alone is massive.
Absolutely.
But the sisterhood is the thing that's going to take you all even higher than you are now.
We've got to wrap up the conversation now, but I just want to ask Tembe, like, what do you want to see Gloucester do creatively going forward, and what are your hopes and dreams really for everything?
Oh, not a small
Just
question.
a small question.
Keeping it light. What I would like to see Gloucester do, I think something that has been so beautiful about this space so far is how I've seen Gloucester just support young people, like, and just artists of the community. I remember just growing up and going to like Jamaican Independence Day celebration at Gloucester Park, and just even school talent shows and things here in the Guildhall. I did my work experience at the Guildhall when I was like 15, and just how much these like little small touch points meant building that community and seeing other people in my community being elevated and being like, I can be on that stage too, you know? And I think I want to see Gloucester keep on doing that, because I think it's such a beautiful space to grow as an artist. And yeah, just in the future, I think I want to inspire others, just in the same way that I've been inspired by people I've seen on TV, or just in my community, and music has played such a big part as well. There's this quote I really love by Tupac Shakur, who said, "I may not be like the revolution, but I guarantee you I will spark the mind of someone who will be the revolution." And I think there's something about just like even inspiring one person has so much power. So I think that's my hope for me.
Love that. I've got to touch base on that as well, because what we need to see at the moment is the fact that so many young people are wanting to emerge. And we really do just need to give them the opportunities. And that, again, I mean, I've talked about this previously, but that's what is so amazing about Gloucester. And even me living in Bristol at the moment, like I will always come back here because this is where my roots were. This is where I began, basically. So I owe everything to this place and everyone that's surrounded me and helped me. So yeah, I love that. And I plan on taking over the world. So, I mean, I don't know about you guys, but within like what I want to do, you know, as you've said, like I want to be able to help people, even if it's to establish themselves or just to see that there's something within them that is like really, really worthwhile, you know? And I think everyone needs that. So yeah, but I think we're going to wrap up the conversation here. Thank you so, so much for tuning in. My name is Natalie.
Rispa.
Ophelia.
Tembi.
This has been Women Behind Bars at Gloucester Rhyme Festival.